Hello, my friends. This is Ellen Patrick, and thank you for joining me today for Mindfulness Monday meditation. So it's a little early. As I've explained in the past, I like to come on a little earlier for those of you who are early birds. Um, and if you are an early bird and joining me now, um, just grab yourself a nice, comfortable seat, whether it's sitting on a couch or sitting on a cushion on the floor or sitting on a chair. Light a candle. That's always my favorite part. And the candle, symbolizes a dispelling of the darkness. And that's what meditation can do for us. It can help to dispel the darkness of our minds. More about how we relate to our minds than actually what's going on in our minds. And if you have a crystal, that's always nice to have handy to keep you grounded. You can hold on to it while you're meditating. Yeah. Good. And so I think lighting a candle, having a crystal, having an intention for your practice really makes this time sacred. It makes it sacred. This is time that you're spending on yourself, for yourself, so that you could be there for others. So I saw somebody joining us. I didn't see who it was. So if you're there, why don't you just chat, send me a little chat and say hello. So we have about another minute before we get started. Allow your breath to relax. Oh, it's Stacy. Hi, Stacy. Nice to see you. Let me see. I have to let you in. There we go. Okay. There we go. Adding you in. So happy to have you. And Carol is here. Hi, Carol. Nice to have you. Good. We're just going to wait a couple. Here we are. We're at 5:30, and we'll begin the practice. And so, what I wanted to talk about today is the pause. And I think why this is speaking to me. Somebody sending me a message, Carol. Thank you. And the reason why this is speaking to me today is I'm finding myself kind of drained, lacking energy. I'm in New York and, of course, running around and keeping pace with the rest of this frenetic city. And I'm finding myself really kind of fatigued. And so I decided to pause and get some rest. So, with that being said, I wanted to just read to you about the pause. Within every breath, there is a pause, and within every pause is silence. So for today's practice, we're going to explore that silence within the pausing, that opportunity to assess where you've been, where you are, and where you're going. And this is a beautiful poem I'd like to read to you as well. It's called Fire by Judy Brown. And what makes a fire burn is space between the logs, a breathing space. Too much of a good thing, too many logs packed in too tight can douse the flames almost as surely as a pail of water would. So building fires requires attention to the spaces in between, as much to the wood. When we are able to build open spaces in the same way we have learned to pile on the logs, then we can come to see how it is fuel and the absence of the fuel together that make fire possible. We only need to lay a log lightly from time to time. A fire grows simply because the space is there, with openings in which the flame that knows just how it wants to burn can find its way. So for me today, this poem speaks to the necessity of rest, of pausing, in order to continue to do the work I want to do to enjoy life the way I want to as well. Hi, Barbara. Glad to have you here. So I'd like to explore the pause through the breath. Most of us think of the breath as having two parts, an inhale and an exhale. In actuality, there are four parts to the breath. There's an inhale, there's a subtle pause at the top of that inhale. Then there's an exhale and a subtle pause at the bottom of the exhale. Right? So there's four parts to the breath. And in those pauses is a suspension of movement. The muscles are no longer moving in order to create the inhale or create the exhale. There's just this momentary suspension and stillness. So I'd like to take you there, right? And invite you to close your eyes and feel yourself anchored in your seat. Notice the parts of your body that are touching the seat. Is your back supported by the back of a chair, or are you relying on your core musculature to keep your spine nice and lifted? And just notice this. And then become aware of your body breathing. Just first notice that there's movement in the body. There's an expansive quality to your inhale. Hi, Atsia. And a condensive quality to the exhale. Right? You may notice this movement of the body within the area of your chest, your belly, maybe even your upper back. So just notice where you're feeling your breath. At first, we're just checking on the inhale and the exhale. And then start to notice that at the top of your inhale, there's a pause in the movement of your body, holding that expansive quality. And then on your exhale, there's a subtle little pause as the breath is held out of the body, and there's a condensing. So just noticing, you don't have to do anything. There's an inhale, a pause, an exhale, another pause. Again, there's nothing you really need to do. It's just a momentary suspension of breath, of movement, and what's left is stillness. And then I'd like to invite you to lengthen the pause. So take a regular inhale. Hold that inhale for 1 to 2 seconds. And then allow a regular exhale, no forcing. And at the end of your exhale, holding for 1 or 2 seconds. Don't force anything to happen. If your breath feels a little agitated, just breathe regularly. But I'm inviting you to lengthen those pauses so you become a little bit more familiar with the stillness, with the suspension of activity. And it's in this stillness that we find respite, that we find sanctuary. rejuvenation. If you like, you can lengthen those pauses even more. Maybe holding the pause 2 to 4 seconds. Inhaling, pausing, noticing the stillness, the quiet. Exhaling, pausing again, 2 to 4 seconds. It's in those pauses that the body finds rest. It's in the pauses that the mind finds some stillness.